Good morning, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the Mesa City Council study session for the morning of September the 9th. All of our council are present. The first item on our agenda for this meeting is to review the agenda for our Monday night council meeting. Council, do you know, are there anything on that agenda that you'd like some additional information on? Or any questions? Mr. Brady, is there anything that staff would like to offer any additional information on? There's nothing off the consent agenda now, and I'm not aware of any real controversial issues on the agenda.
Mayor and council, good morning.
Yes, Kelly, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I just want to remind the council that for item number 3C, that a yes vote will constitute the council giving a disapproval of the liquor license application. Those don't come up very often.
That may be one, Mayor. Is Tim or who's here on the liquor license? Yeah, Mayor, I think that because it's not typical that we do a recommendation for disapproval, it probably gives some background on the why on that one. So if
Yeah,
that's
I only
okay.
remember doing this one time before.
Yeah,
so
we don't do it very often, but in this case, we've run into some challenges. Go ahead, Tim.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Yes, item number 3C, the applicant has some issues with the city as far as fees that are owed, and they also do not have a current certificate of occupancy. And because of that, we're recommending denial on this license. We've tried to contact them at least 3 times. They talked to us the first time, and they haven't talked to us since to see if they just wanted to withdraw the application, but they have chosen not to do that.
Okay.
Just
Certificate of occupancy seems like a good place to start. But, okay. All right. Well, that's so Kelly, to your point, voting yes on the consent agenda is voting to recommend against issuing that liquor license.
That's correct. We would send a disapproval to the state.
Okay. And again, just so everybody knows, we don't issue liquor licenses. This is a recommendation to the State Liquor Board, and we hope that they will pay attention to our recommendation, I guess.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Mayor, it's kind of a unique one. It has a little more history behind it maybe than the item is addressing, but item 5C, if I could ask Brian Draper just come up and give council just a little history and kind of what's happening here in the relationship we have out with Salt River Project and the Roosevelt Dam. This is kind of a unique situation for the city. I don't know this item by itself is significantly complex, but maybe what allows us to be in this discussion, I think, is important as we consider where the city's position is on water source. So Brian and Bill.
Chris, before we jump into that, going back to 3C,
Yeah.
how can they occupy a building without a certificate of occupation or occupancy?
They can.
I mean, that should be, I mean, that.
Are
we
they
have
actually in
rules
the
in place
location?
and-
That's what I'm not sure if they're actually in the location or they're seeking to go there. I can follow up and find out.
Okay, thank you.
If not, we can send code out there to enforce that. Thank you for that question, though. But Mayor, this would be item 5C? Yeah, sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Lost my place.
Tell us about, I think we're all anxious to learn more about this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Please.
Thanks, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. Again, I'm Brian Draper, City of Mesa's Water Resources Advisor with Bill Table, City's Assistant Attorney.
Assistant City Attorney.
There you go.
You could be the city attorney today if you want.
No, Kelly's got that covered.
So we are thankful to come before you this morning to talk about this topic. Let me just start by saying that it is kind of coincidental that this year we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the modification to the Roosevelt Dam. So the topic we're bringing before you today kind of takes advantage of some additional space that was created during that modification. The cost sharing agreement that's coming before you seeks approval to authorize the Bureau of Reclamation and the Army Corps of Engineers to temporarily utilize flood control space that was created during the modification of the dam. Currently, their water operations plan requires any water that goes into that space to be evacuated within 20 days. And usually there's no beneficial use downstream when they do that type of evacuation. What we're looking to do is utilize just 5 feet of the 25 feet that was created during the modification to keep that water in there under a temporary deviation plan.
Brian, when you say modification, you mean that they actually did what to the dam?
Well, let me show you.
Because it's,
On the screen, you can see in green was the old Roosevelt Dam, the historical dam built in the early 1900s. Beginning in the late 80s into the 90s, many of the cities and other governmental agencies pooled together monies to modify the dam. So in blue, what you see is we expanded the toe of the dam and increased it by 77 feet. And so now it sits at 357 feet high. We gained almost 2 million additional acre feet of water, and not all of that is for beneficial use. We did acquire new conservation space, which we call NCS water, which the city did receive a portion of. And so that's water we can bring down and use anywhere within the city of Mesa, and we currently utilize that in our eastern zones off project. When I say off project, it's lands that are not given any SRP rights. On top of that, it's flood control space, which as it's intended, we have excess runoff, it fills into this space, and then they're required to evacuate that. And then we also gain safety of dam space, which in the event of a real 1,000-year flood, we have that space to build up into to protect the dam and downstream users, so we're not continually wiping out bridges and roadways and things like that downstream. So what we're focusing on is that flood control space that theoretically sits right on top of the NCS space. It's 25 feet that was gained during the modification. We're looking to utilize 5 feet of that. Here's another diagram just kind of depicting that. You can see the different spaces of water that were created. We're looking to enter into this temporary deviation with the Corps and the Bureau. What 5 feet of space gives us is 108,000 acre feet of water. And there's many participants that want to join in on this cost sharing agreement. Again, it's temporary right now. And so what I wanted to show you was under the current plan, we have to evacuate within 20 days, excuse me. This will allow us to keep that water in there up to 120 days. And all the participants to this agreement can then evacuate that water within this time frame and put it to a use rather than it flowing downstream and not having a beneficial impact on the community. So the total cost is around $105 million. Mesa's share is 4%, or just a little over $53,000 total cost. This enables us to gain access up to 4,800 acre feet for each fill. Under this agreement, it's for 5 years, and we get to fill that space 3 times during the 5 years. So if you look at the unit cost, if we only filled 1 time, and that's possible, it's about $11 an acre foot. And if we do the 3 fills, it's $3.72 an acre foot, or 14,400 acre feet of water. If you've heard me before talk about the costs of the commodity out on the open market, long-term storage credits run anywhere, from $400 to $6,500 an acre foot. From the main stem Colorado, it's $10,000 an acre foot right now. So this is really a cost savings to the city of Mesa to gain some access to water. It's temporary, we gain no rights to this water. But if it works, and through this pilot program, the Corps and the Bureau determined that there's no environmental impacts and no structural impacts to the modified dam, we look to reconvene and make this maybe more of a long-term permanent source of water. And again, there'll be some additional little bit of cost, and that's to modify the water operations plan because the structure already exists. Our investment is already there. And so we hope to gain approval of the council. This definitely gives us some drought mitigation and helps us be a little more resilient and meet some of the economic growth that's going on out in the East Valley. And I welcome any questions you might have.
Brian, just give us an update on the Salt River project as far as the availability of water right now.
Well, normally the monsoon season does not make much of a dent in the supply of water, but this year we had a very robust monsoon. We started out right around 60% capacity full. And that's the entire SRP system that's on the Verde and the Salt. Coming just as of this week, we're sitting at about 70%. So we gained quite a bit of water. Bartlett's sitting very healthy. Horseshoe actually is storing water, which is uncommon this time of year. Bartlett gained about 12 to 15% capacity. So going into the fall and the winter season where we hope to see snowpack and runoff, we're looking very well. Our NCS filled during the winter of 2018, beginning of 19. We've actually utilized that this year. And if things go hopefully as planned, we'll refill and top that off again. But NCS is another cheap source of water for us. The capital investment we made to modify the dam, not so cheap, but it is a reoccurring supply that we can use anywhere in the city of Mesa.
Remind us what NCS is?
New conservation space.
Is that the way you were just describing?
Yeah,
the,
he showed it on,
all right.
there it is. Oh,
So you can
oh,
see
yes, yeah.
Yeah, got
the
it.
new conservation space is the space we paid for on top of what was already existing.
So 25 years, how long ago did we pay for that improvement?
25 years ago, this was the
So
silver
we helped
anniversary.
pay for that.
Okay. So we've been
increasing the height of
utilizing
the
that,
dam.
and now we're talking about utilizing the flood control space.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just 5 feet of it. 'cause-
And the difference is, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong though, but everything in green below is what we call, our portion of that is on project.
Yes,
So that's on project. That means it's really goes only to that area. And the way I best describe it is, the area is pretty much west of Gilbert Road or so, maybe.
pretty much everything
So-
west of the Eastern Canal, Lindsay
Yes.
Road.
That's called on project. The NCS allows us to take that water and move it over to the east side also.
Yep.
Anyway, I just think this is a good news for the city. You'll see later, audit and finance will see later, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the cost of water, how much it's gone up, but that's on the Colorado side. But on the Salt River side, water continues to be very cheap, very accessible for the city. And as you can tell today, the nice thing about Salt River water today is we're in a good position as far as the amount of water. So we have two different systems, kind of two different stories, but it's good for the city that we have, and it's very cheap relative to the Colorado water that we get out of CAP. I think it's like an 8 times difference or something. I can't remember. We'll see the
Yeah.
numbers later, but it's a big difference. So.
So the thing that will make this a permanent, utilizing that flood control space is during this test period, they're just seeing if it's healthy for the dam to be that high, or if it might threaten the engineering of the dam to some extent?
Correct. They'll check the integrity of the dam, make sure there's no additional stresses to the dam, as well as the environmental component, which takes in some of the cultural features around Roosevelt Lake. So they'll want to make sure none of that's impacted. If not, we'll definitely come back around in 5 years and look to make this a permanent.
Permanent storage that
Yeah.
is available, right? So, yeah.
That's great. I'm sorry, Mr. Heredia?
Yeah, on the comment on SRP in Colorado, what's the percentage that we get from each one?
Brian's about 50-50, maybe a little different.
About
than that.
50-40 now.
50-40, 60-40.
Yeah.
From
Which
Salt
one's
River?
which?
CAP, we're using more CAP now than we are
CAP.
SRP.
Okay.
But we will talk about some projects that we hope to put in place that will allow us to, what we call you'll hear a reference to the interconnect pipe, which would allow us to move more of the Salt River project over to the east side.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Freeman, I know you can't not say anything about this. Go ahead.
Sitting on the.
Well, I think the CAP water is more cleaner, and so we have less input costs in cleaning that water up sometimes versus the SRP, the Verde, and the salt, because it gets pretty sedimentary. I know I was irrigating recently, and the water was as brown, just dark brown, so I'm sure having to mitigate that at our treatment plants is pretty difficult, so I appreciate them doing that. As long as these elevations maintain their consistency, then we'll be able to get that storage and be able to utilize that acre feet. At $3 and something an acre foot, that's pretty reasonable cost with that. Is there any federal requirements in keeping these elevations at the elevation?
Yeah, that's what is established by the Water Operations Plan. And so they designate those elevations specifically for NCS, flood control, and safety of dam.
Yeah, no. No, this is a great deal for the city. This just reinsures our water supply. You know, my son who's in Mississippi sent me a message about the shortage of water in the West here, and I reassured him that Mesa, you know, we have a very robust water supply, and I appreciate all the years of setting up our aquifers, our wells, our groundwater storage, as well as our surface water credits. So as long as Mother Nature produces water, you know, on the Salt River and the Verde watersheds, we'll be just fine. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, council? I mean, the irony of record lows at Lake Powell and Lake Mead, and I mean, water is a complicated discussion, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So,
And we're fortunate, as Councilman Freeman mentioned, that we have those two different sources. So as one is going through a significant drought, the other one is actually at almost record heights to a point. So having that flexibility, and what we're trying to build in, and I think Brian is trying to help us with, is get that flexibility to use that Salt River, you know, throughout the system and take advantage of that when it's in abundance. And so, yeah, we'll talk more about that. But yeah, and then we have well water. You know, we don't use that. We have that as backup for our aquifer, so that's another source of water. So, and we're in discussions with SRP for additional sources out of the Verde. And as you know, we've had conversations about taking advantage of the agreement we have with the Gila River community. And so that would also be another source. So we're trying to do everything we can to diversify our portfolio and also plan for the future. So.
okay. Well, thank you. Thanks. So that's item 5C. That'll remain on the consent agenda, but thank you for that update. That was very informative.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Reddy.
On item 4A, is this the transitions us over to fully doing the billing for the medical transportation? Do we still have the Daisy? What's the timeline on the Daisy?
We've got the staff, and we're doing the billing now, right? So.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Ed Quiddens, Business Services Director. I'm joined by Tom Lavelle, who's been building the billing program throughout the year. Yes, we do still have Daisy Mountain, and they are doing a small portion of the billing, but most of the billing has now transitioned over to the 5 staff that Tom's got working on the project.
Okay.
But we do have Daisy Mountain through the end of October. We are looking at that end of the year. I'm sorry, it was amended. We are looking at that because we are using their billing system yet until this billing system is up and running.
So our staff's using their billing system.
That is
Now
correct.
we'll take our staff and have our own
That is
software to
correct,
do
yes.
that. So this is just a transition.
Is this a totally new software system that we haven't used before?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any other questions regarding Monday's agenda? All right, hearing none. Next item on our agenda for this meeting is item 2. That's to discuss the selection process for our next city clerk. For those of you who don't know, our wonderful city clerk of the year, Deanne Mickelson, is running her victory lap right now. Her career with the city of Mesa will end in January of next year. So I'm sure we'll have lots of opportunities to express our admiration and appreciation for Deanne. But today, we're talking about replacing Deanne, right? But let's go ahead and, I do note that Deanne has been 24 years with the city, 8.5 years as our city clerk. And as I indicated earlier, won the City Clerk of the Year award very deservingly about a year or so ago. So Mr. Brady, this is one of the few positions per our city charter that this group hires rather than you. But we do get to take advantage of all of the resources of the city to do a good job of recruiting and hiring a great replacement. I believe you have some suggestions for us as to how we ought to go about that.
Well, yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So what I would like to do, it just really is more review what happened last time. And so just to start with, and Dan can certainly, since she was intimately involved in that process, she can assist me with that. But the previous time that the council did a recruitment for city clerk, the council at one point began having a discussion about whether or not to use a headhunting firm or recruiting agency. After getting back some proposals, the council decided against that. They said, no, we think we can just do this in-house. Let's just focus on candidates that are pretty much more familiar with local law, local government and Arizona state laws and election laws. And so the decision was made not to use a recruiting firm. So through our human resources department, we were able to put out a notice that this position was open and begin the recruitment process. So for a period of 60 days, those notices were sent out. The notices at that time included to a variety of different sites, including the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, the Arizona Municipal Clerks Association, the League of Arizona Cities and Towns, LAVOS, and the Mesa Association of Hispanic Citizens. So those jobs were posted for about 60 days, or that job announcement was posted for about 60 days. At the conclusion of the 60 days, the Human Resources Director and our HR analyst, and this is typically how we would do even internal recruitments, came back for that. There was, I think we end up with almost 300 applications. They came back with the top 10, and we presented the resumes and the applications to the council. And so the council had the top 10 candidates, and then the council met and reduced that number to about, it says 5 to 6 for the next interviews. So kind of cut that in half. Then there was an interview panel that was set up to meet with all the candidates, and I believe those initial interviews were done by phone. And so let me tell you who was on that interview panel. So the interview panel included a current clerk from a neighboring city. In this case, it was at the time, the city clerk for Chandler, Marla Paddock. And then there was a representative from our PSPRS board, which Dan and I get to spend a lot of time on during the months. We had a representative from that board. I think that we chose that time the police representative was Floyd Smith, who sat on that. We had the city attorney was on there. We had a former elected city official. At that time, it was Claudia Walters, and then myself. So that was the interview panel that we did, a kind of telephonic interview for those 5 to 6 applicants. And then we selected the top 4. We didn't rate them. We didn't rank them, or rate them. We just said, we think these 4 stand out. We agree that those 4, and then those 4 came and met with the city council members for interview. And yeah, we actually had an opportunity for the council to sit down. We've done this before. I don't know, it's called the rotating interview process. Some of you are familiar, where we put the candidates in different rooms, and then you get to go around, we kind of keep you from congregating too many in one room, right? We move you around. We put them in 4 different rooms, and you kind of go around and meet with each of the candidates. So you kind of have some one-on-one time. And then the council came together and then made a decision on who their selection was. That sounds right? Yeah, that's how I've written it here. So that was the process.
Mr. Bruno was involved in that, right?
Yeah.
No, I've been involved in similar.
The other ones. Kevin, were you involved in that one? No? Before your time? Wow.
I
No,
don't
we
believe
came
any of
7
the
years ago.
current
Really?
council members were involved in that
Goodness
process.
gracious. Wow. But it's like we've done that for like police chief.
We've done it
and
for
others.
police chief, yeah.
Do you remember how okay. So it'd be similar to that, sorry. I knew it's, that way the council has more kind of a, one-on-one or opportunity to visit with them, and then we come together as a group and do that. I think the council sometimes feels that more effective than trying to do the whole group session where everybody asks a question going around. It would allow a little more time to sit down and get to know the candidates.
So Chris, what's the timeline? So now
Well,
we're announcing that this is going to
I want to know, she's the one that's creating the
So
timeline, not me.
do we hire a clerk before?
We're trying to, I think the goal is to have a decision made before the end of the year. So immediately following this meeting, if we have the direction to move forward, we will begin putting the recruitment out publicly, notice for 60 days. And then we'll quickly have HR reduce that, get that number down to 10, and then we'll get that to council as quickly as possible, so you can help us, get that down to, say, whatever, 5, 6, whatever, get down to a number. And then during that time, then maybe we'll set up this panel like we had before, if that sounds reasonable. And then we'll have that panel interview the 5 or 6 and recommend whatever, 3 or 4 to the council, and then we'll set up a time for you to meet with them. And then usually we have it so that you're meeting with them one week, but it's posted or we're making a decision the following week. So hopefully by mid-December or so, we can be making a decision, what the goal is.
A question about the panel. It sounds like a good process, and I'd like to see us follow it again, but is there something, the only thing that struck me as a little bit odd is having a PSPRS representative. Is there something I'm missing about, is there a connection between the city clerk's office and
yes.
PSPRS that
Yeah,
I'm not appreciating?
I serve as a secretary to the local public safety board, and my department plays a pretty big role in public safety retirements. And so it was a recommendation of the previous city clerk, Linda Crocker, that a member of that board serve on the interview panel.
They're significantly involved in that agenda and the whole process with that board. And so they're staffing that board. And so the idea is that someone from that board would be available to us.
Great, good to know. Mr. Thompson?
Chris, could we maybe, because January is going to be on us pretty quick, and we've got the holidays coming up, should we reduce that instead of 60 days? Can we reduce that to 30 days maybe?
We could. Sometimes, and I just don't know the cycle of getting in some of these publications because of the lead time and the time they publish. Now, things that are digital now and electronic, that's sometimes not as concerning. We could check into that. I might want to suggest maybe 45 days. 30 days sounds pretty fast.
My only concern is that, because if we do 60 days, that puts us sort of into
I hear you.
November, and then we've got Thanksgiving, and we'll be on council break, and it'll be January before we come back.
Yeah.
And our city
So
clerk
if
will
the
be
goal
gone,
maybe is to
so-
get to council the first meeting, even if it's a Thursday, it doesn't have to be maybe the first Thursday, and I don't know what that is, in November, that list of 10 that you can reduce, how would we, I mean, we can work back from that.
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Yeah,
We
that's
just do it that way?
perfect,
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, my thought is it'd be great to have this person in place during the month of January,
Right.
so that they have a week or two of overlap with the end. So I think if we actually even made the selection in the first part of January, that's not.
Okay.
Yeah. I think as long as the selection is made by the first meeting, your first meeting in January, that will give us sufficient time, or give me sufficient time with them.
Yeah.
I think our goal would be, and let me go back more with HR, if we could even have that decision made middle, third week before Christmas in December, and then, because there's not a lot going to happen between that time, the 1st of January anyway, so
Yeah.
that might help.
If we're going to be criticized, it's going to be for not doing enough recruitment.
Right.
So I like the idea of having a healthy recruitment time so we can make sure that, but to that end, I've also, in discussing this with Deanna and other folks, I don't think there's a necessity for this to be a national recruitment. Arizona law is pretty, peculiar might be the wrong word, but
Correct.
unique.
The clerk is pretty heavy in election records management, public safety. There's a lot of a legal background. There's a lot of learning the Arizona laws related to those programs. And so it was my recommendation to the mayor that the recruitment not be nationwide, that it be statewide. The clerks group in Arizona is pretty tight. And, reaching out to the Arizona Municipal Clerks Association, League of Arizona Cities, I think will go for a lot to recruit an Arizona clerk or deputy to apply for this position.
we agree.
Great. Council, other feedback on this? Mr. Freeman?
I was just, thank you, Deanna, about your input, because I think it's critical. And the posting time, I was thinking about that. I kind of concur with Councilmember Thompson on about a 30-day or so. What's your recommendation? I mean, word of mouth, I mean, if they know you're retiring already, right?
Yes, they
So-
do. I've been
so I-
quite open about that.
Yes, you have.
I think the 30 to 45 days is a good compromise. You know, they already know, and I'll be letting, I'll be submitting the posting to the clerk's listserv, so even those that maybe don't check the website will get it through the listserv, so they'll be well aware of it. So I think 45 days is a good compromise if you want to trim down the time frame a little bit.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the holidays, like it's been discussed.
Definitely.
And then, the applicant or whomever gets hired, then they have their timeline to adjust to ours. So, yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Council, other feedback on this? So, Mr. Brady, are you looking for a consensus from us on
Just direction, I mean,
Yeah.
if this is your, as a charter position, as long as I'm here to help you in that decision, if you're comfortable with that.
I like the formula that you described earlier. It seemed like a thorough process, so I think if we, council, speak up if you disagree, but I think if we follow that format again, and it's
Well,
just
let's verify that. I mean, which format?
the one you described of a panel that, that kind of does
I
an
thought the
initial.
posting timeline too.
Oh, yeah, I think if, it looks like, and Jill, help me, do we have a council meeting November 1st? So November 1st, we would bring you the 10 candidates. You reduce that down to whatever, 5 or 6, and then we will just be ready to start interviewing that following week. So before the end of November, and maybe right after Thanksgiving, then the council would be doing the interviews. So the first week of December. Is that okay? What I'm saying is we'll back up from November 1st as far as the postings, right? So we'll probably finish postings before the last week of October to give us time to go through and take whatever 200, 300 applications and come up with the 10 and get that to you in time for your November 1st meeting.
So if the advertising is open for 45 days, is that what we said
It's
a
going to
moment
be
ago?
pretty close to, that's going to be about
Does that give you sufficient time to take let's say it is a 200, resume response? We're already almost, it's the 9th of September right now. You're going to have to walk out of this meeting and start advertising it ASAP in order to get 45 days in, aren't you?
Yeah.
So to me, the 1st of November is not critical. I think it's critical
Okay.
that we get 45 days of.
Okay.
So we're not criticized for keeping this at kind of an inside the loop, recruitment.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get you there, because then the next week, our Thursday is on Veterans Day, so we may have to have a special meeting maybe that week. I'm thinking about the next week, so after the 1st, so. Well, let me put together a calendar.
You could probably advertise this for 10 days and completely.
Right. Okay,
We have 52 days till November 1st.
that's assuming we leave today and we go post it. So
Larry, we
It's
got
probably,
we got a whole
Monday or
week.
Tuesday is
We got a
probably
whole
when,
week for
realistically, Monday or
45 days.
Tuesday will get posted. I think we'll be close to that 45.
Okay.
And
So-
those who want to know probably the candidates you are looking for will know in the next 2 weeks, probably, easily, yeah.
obviously, if we don't have good candidates in 45 days, then there's a problem,
Yeah,
so.
listen.
That should give us plenty of time.
Well, it's
I
just-
don't
it's just
doubt we're going to
because
get
they
good
don't-
Yeah.
candidates. We already know we've got good internal candidates, and so I just don't want, I want to err on the side of transparency
Sure.
and making it not look like it's a done deal. We want to be open to anybody who wants to
Sure.
learn about it.
Okay, we'll work on it, and I'll let you know. I'll get you a calendar as soon as I sit down with HR and get their postings out, so.
Okay. So you have what you need as
Yes,
far as direction?
yes, if that, yeah,
Okay.
council's good with that, thank you.
Thank you very much. That's, next item on our agenda is current events and conferences attended. Council members, anything you'd like to share with us? Okay.
Okay. My senior Jeff and I went and toured House of Refuge out in District 6. Neither of us had ever been out there before, and we're thoroughly impressed with that organization and all that they're doing out there. So just a plug to next time you have some donations, go drop them off at House of Refuge out in East Mesa. They're doing some amazing things out there.
Great, thank you. Ms. Duff?
Yeah, I'd like to share that last week I was at the Arizona League of Cities and Towns conference and attended a number of sessions and workshops and did meetings with our state officials. I also participated in a sustainability panel on city resiliency with our director, Scott Boucher. We talked about the flare to fuel and food to fuel, as well as our overall measures of what we're doing in the city of Mesa around our climate action plan. And then on Friday night was the Alice Cooper Solid Rock Teen Center grand opening here on North Country Club. Alice Cooper performed as well as some other bands. It was a huge celebration. The mayor was there with me, and we had a great time. I'm so thrilled to have this teen center in Mesa available for our teens, free from 12 to 20 years old, to explore their interests and passions and their self-esteem, from anywhere from music and art and dance and a number of other creative sources. It's already quite busy, and who knows, maybe we'll have another one in Mesa one day. Some great conversations and a good celebration. I think the only thing else I'd like to mention is our pumper fire truck donation. I'm sure you'd love to comment on that, Mr. Freeman. No? This is exciting.
Well,
Go ahead.
do you want to comment on it?
Do I want? You're the fireman.
Retired.
Yeah,
No,
retired.
but several of us were there for the donation of the Mesa Fire. Thank you, Chief. I see Chief Johnson here. Chief, why don't you come up and tell us a little bit background on this? I like pulling up Chief Johnson. He and I go way back till he retires. But, you know, I think the time frame is Yvette had a fire truck, and how old was that? And prior, we've donated trucks to them, but tell us the history on that.
Yes, Mayor and Council. It was a neat celebration, as you said. It was great to be out there. Yvette is a great program for our community, and donation of the 2001 the truck was, so it was a neat, you and I rode on that truck. We talked about many experiences we had on it. So it was just a great experience for the kids to be there and see that, and also the fire department and the rest of the community to donate the trucks to them, so.
Yeah, there were quite a few youth there. I mean, there was probably, what, 60, 70 youth there, maybe a little bit more?
Easily.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I asked some of the youth, I mean, why do you want to be a firefighter? And they just want to be in service, public service, and they're learning, and some of them will carry on with that, and others won't. But I thought somebody brought up the fact that this is an anniversary of 9/11, and the truck was 2001 when that happened. So that truck was kind of commissioned during that time when we had the 9/11 disaster in New York City. So, and now they get to have that. I kind of suggested they put some type of memorial sticker on there on the truck. But thank you to Mesa Fire, the mayor, David and Frankie and Jen and Jill are there. Julie. You're not Jill. Jill's over there.
It was nice and hot out there. So
It was.
Well appreciated.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Luna?
Thank you, Mayor. I also attended the Arizona League of Conference. It was a great conference. I think that it was the highest attended conference for a while, so we had a lot of great camaraderie with colleagues throughout the state. But if it's okay, Mayor, I want to make an announcement.
Please.
This Saturday at Falcon Field Airport, beginning at 10 o'clock, there will be a 40s fair at Falcon Field celebrating its 80th anniversary. So bring your kids and your family. Starts at 10 a.m. ends at 1. There will be carnival rides and those kind of things. There'll be tours of several museums, the Wings of Light Museum. So come on by this Saturday at Falcon Field Airport.
Great, thank you. We'll be there.
Can I share one?
Yes, Ms. Duff.
Yes, I also wanted to share that the other night, Councilmember Freeman and I were at the Historic Preservation Board meeting in which the actual awards for the recognitions we made for the annual Preservation Awards were given. And so we had the Hidden House, which is a home on North McDonald by Jocelyn Escobedo, and 12 West for its rehabilitation, rehab. It's 12 West Brewing and 12 West Main, and the Washington Escobedo Heritage District, and for their work in keeping their history documented and shared. So I just wanted to recognize them again. Thank you.
Julie?
Yeah, I guess I should write down what I'm saying, but I also attended my very first Arizona League of Cities conference last week and really enjoyed it. And I just felt so proud to be from Mesa the whole time. We have a reputation, and everyone's there were so many cool things said about Mesa for those 2 days that I was there, and in all the sessions. Every session, someone brought up Mesa and the things we were doing here. And so I felt pretty proud to be from Mesa there. And then the Mesa Arts Center, their season opening is Friday night from 6 to 10, I think.
Wonderland.
So, what?
Wonderland.
Wonderland, yes, their big season opening kickoff. And is someone mentioning the 9/11 thing?
Haven't heard it mentioned yet. but
On Saturday morning?
Go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah. might as
So
well.
Saturday morning, there's a 9/11 commemorative ceremony at the Mesa Convention Center.
Amphitheater.
At the amphitheater at 10 o'clock. So come on out to that. There's a lot going on this weekend. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll just underline some of the things that Julie just mentioned. I thought I was proud to be from Mesa at the league conference this last week, and I attended the presentation that Vice Mayor and Scott Boucher put on the sustainability on our new climate action plan, and that was very impressive and well received. So proud of the good work that we're doing there. And also the Alice Cooper event, I thought just really stood out as a moment of pride. The Vice Mayor and I toured, when there was a soft opening a couple of weeks ago, we went out and from the moment they unlocked the door to that facility, I mean, every class they teach was just been booked. I mean, you really can't appreciate how well received that facility has been, and how important it is to the young people that are there, and the fact that it's free. I mean, Alice and Cheryl Cooper deserve a lot of admiration for doing that and partnering with Mesa Public Schools and with the city to bring that to our community. I thought I was just very proud of that as well. Also on Friday, I was assigned to babysit my grandkids, and we went to the AYSO opening night at Red Mountain Soccer Complex. And again, that was another moment of pride to just see that huge soccer complex was just wall-to-wall kids and bright uniforms, and the number of adult volunteers that it takes to make something like that happen was, again, just very impressive. And so thanks to all the, not just AYSO, but all the youth sports folks that are making that such a point of pride in our community. I was really appreciated it. I think that's all I wanted to point out.
Mayor, I'd like
Yes.
to add on, at the Arizona League of Cities, Councilmember Luna was recognized for 8 years of service. We recognize in the Arizona League of Cities and Towns, council members that have served for a duration of 8 years, 12 years and on up. We have council term limits here in Mesa, so I just wanted to recognize that David has served 8 years, and he's done a tremendous job, and I really value him as a council member, a colleague, and thank you for your service.
Amen. Council, anything else you'd like to share with us? Mr. Brady, what does our future meeting schedule look like? And again, let's give the details of the 9/11 event one more time. It's at the amphitheater this Saturday.
Saturday at 10 a.m.
At 10 a.m. And it includes speakers from first responders, both from the city, but also those who have ties to I think,
Former Chief
Compton.
Dennis Compton speaking, as well as yourself.
Yes. So,
Free.
not for that reason, but yes, hopefully folks will come. That obviously is a tremendously significant event throughout our country, and we want to make sure we give it adequate recognition on this Saturday.
You're speaking at Falcon Field on that.
And at Falcon Field
Yeah,
as
we'll
well.
be transitioning from the amphitheater to Falcon Field quickly.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Brady, so tell us what our schedule is of future meetings.
Sure. Just a reminder is an audit and finance and enterprise committee meeting following the study session today. And that, of course, we just reviewed the council meeting for Monday, so we'll see you on Monday, September 13th for the study session and council meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our last item is to convene an executive session for our annual reviews of the city clerk and city auditor. Is there a motion to convene the executive session? Thank you, Ms. Spilsbury, seconded by Mr. Freeman. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion passes unanimously.